Romanticism was an ideological movement that took root in 18th century Europe and influenced the time's literature, art, and philosophy. A heightened sense of appreciation for the natural world's beauty and power. An assertion of emotion over reason and the senses over intellect. A desire to understand the complexities of human emotion and personality. An emphasis upon the importance of the creative spirit as opposed to strict adherence to society's rules and laws. A general distrust of science and religion as their laws and rules were limiting in their worldly outlook. An emphasis upon the imagination as a means of obtaining spiritual truth. Nathaniel Hawthorne was an important Romantic novelist who published The Scarlet Letter in 1850. A story about a young woman ostracized from her Puritan community for sinning, The Scarlet Letter is an important exploration of human nature and romantic ideals. Pearl embodies the ideals of a romantic character. As a product of sin, Pearl is an outcast since her conception. In her youth, Pearl possesses a romantic sense of innocence that finds her more comfortable in isolation from societal structures as opposed to living within man-made boundaries. In nature, Pearl is at home. Hawthorne states, "The mother forest and these wild things which it nourished all recognize a kindred willness in the human child." Furthermore, when describing her, Hawthorne writes she possesses wildflower prettiness and native grace. In tune with the romantic distrust of socially sanctioned laws, Pearl is described as being naturally defiant of any rules that are forced upon her. Instead, when describing her, Hawthorne writes, "The child could not be made amenable to rules. In giving her existence, a great law had been broken, and the result was a being whose elements were perhaps beautiful and brilliant, but all in disorder." In her open disregard for society's rule sets, Pearl embodies a certain disorderly beauty that can only be found in nature. Hester Prynne, the novel's main character and protagonist, is sentenced to a life of isolation and exile following her violation of Puritan law. In her isolation, however, Hester is pushed out of society's social structures, rules, and way of thought, and instead embraces nature as a means of understanding her existence. Hawthorne, in a romantic manner, references the importance of the natural world. Such was the sympathy of nature, that wild heathen nature of forest, never subjugated by human law or illuminated by human truth. It is in Hester's isolation that she begins to expand her worldview and build her personal character. Hawthorne suggests that the Scarlet Letter was her passport into regions where other women dared not tread. Shame, despair, solitude. These had been her teachers, and they made her strong. Chillingworth, a physician, and Dimmesdale, a reverend, occupy seemingly opposite ends of the occupational spectrum. However, in tune with romantic ideology, Hawthorne portrays both scientific and religious jobs to be mentally confiding and unfulfilling. When addressing Chillingworth's occupation as a physician, Hawthorne writes, "In their researches of the human frame, they lost their spiritual view of existence." Hawthorne suggests a scientific approach to understanding human life is narrow-minded and limited. Alternatively, Dimmesdale cries out, "But now, since I am irrevocably doomed, Wherefore should I not snatch the soulless aloud to the condemned culprit before his execution? In other words, Hawthorne is implying the only space Dimmesdale has to experience the true meaning of the world occurs when he is free of a religious way of thought. Ultimately, Hawthorne says there can be no power, short of divine mercy, to disclose the secrets that may be buried in the human heart, discrediting both religious and scientific occupations and emphasizing the importance of a romantic one instead.